So the grenade launcher is great. We love having explosives in our game and ones that we can shoot out of a gun, but one of my favorite things in a lot of first-person shooter games are environmental explosives, and what you might be most familiar with is the explosive barrel, and that's what we're going to add in this step. So what we need to do is go to our prefabs folder, go to props, and go to the bonus tab. You're going to see this explosive barrel game object. What we can do is drag that out into the scene. But what we want to do is, instead of selecting our game object in the hierarchy, we want to actually select this prefab because we only want this barrel to always be an explosive. What we can then do is go back to our scripts folder, go to created, hit create, and then create C# script. We're going to say explosive barrel. And there we go. We're going to open that guy up there. And this one's going to be a damageable because we want this barrel to explode after it takes a certain amount of damage. So we're going to add that there. We're going to delete our avoid and update functions, and then we're going to add some variables here at the top. We're going to say public integer damage, and we're going to set that equal to 20, which matches our grenade. And then we're going to say public float explosion radius is equal to 5f. We want it to be a little bit bigger than our grenade explosion. Next, we're going to give ourselves some space, and we're going to say protected override void on death. And we want to delete our base.onDeath. We want to do our own thing when we die. So first we're going to do is say get component mesh renderer open close parentheses dot enabled equals false. That's because we want our barrel to disappear immediately when it explodes, but we don't actually want it to delete itself just yet because we want it to do a couple of things after it disappears. After it disappears, we're going to deal damage, which is a method we haven't wrote yet, but we can write it in for now. And then we need to get component audio source, open and close parentheses, dot play, open close parentheses, and then destroy game object, comma, get component audio source dot clip dot length. Oops, length, there we go. What that's going to do is destroy our game object after our audio source finishes playing the sound, which is good because we want to make sure that our sound plays before the thing disappears. So what we can do next is actually go to our grenade script, and we can just copy our void deal damage and paste that over into our explosive barrel script. Just make sure we paste it inside our class brackets here. What we also want to do is say if if call.gameObject is not equal to this.gameObject, and then outside the parentheses add our brackets, we're going to move our damageable target and deal damage scripts inside of here. And the reason for that is that our barrel itself is actually a damageable object, and we don't want to get into a loop where we're dealing damage to our object, which is causing it to call on death, which is causing it to deal damage, and it creates a big loop. We want to avoid that. So adding this conditional here will help us avoid that. And now if we hit save, Control S, go back to our scene and select our prefab. Again, we want to get the prefab here. So we go to props, bonus, select the explosive barrel. We can hit add component and type explosive barrel and find our explosive barrel here. I'm going to give it a pretty low value of 10, I think. We also do need to add our audio source component. So we're going to add component, type audio source. We're going to navigate to our sounds folder, go to the weapons folder, and we're going to use this explosion sound, put that in there. Make sure we uncheck play on awake because we don't want the sound to play automatically when we start. And now if I hit play and I shoot our barrel here, it explodes. And we can't see that it deals damage because I wasn't standing close enough. Let's see if I get a little closer if it'll hurt us. It should. There we go. We see it dealt 20 damage to me, and it should deal 20 damage to our enemies eventually as well. So that's great. That's the end of that bonus step. In the next one, we're going to be adding some particle effects and some lights to both our explosions on the barrel and the grenade launcher.